Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Happy Catty Crypto here. So you've got the most typical kind of proposals up. I'm shocked we just can't seem to get a grip on these scam proposals and just not being able to curb them down. But that's a whole genre in itself. So I think what's most important right now is the one that ends in 1 hour. I'll try cast a vote, but I don't want to cast a vote hastily and make a rash decision. But looking at the proposal to increase the burn tax, I think this is quite important. Now, what I've learned over quite some time is you need to ensure you're pleasing the community on as many aspects as you can, and you're just not going to be able to please everyone. It's impossible, and you're not going to be able to get everybody to agree with each other. It's just that simple. You're going to have different parties who have different beliefs on the left, on the right, in the middle, you know, whatever you would like to address it as. But I think the burn tax is very, very important, and we can learn from so many different people before us, coins before us, and the, you know, the way that it's empowered their movement. Now, it can bring a lot of positivity if done correctly, but it can bring a lot of negativity and kind of leave us lulling on this burn tax situation. And even now, coming back from being away for over a month, I'm shocked to see that there's a proposal to increase, and we've just not kind of made any real good developments with it. And I think that's just down to all the situations that happened previously. I don't know where Terra Rebels stand. I don't know where the L1 team stands. I don't know where everybody stands right now and what's really going on behind the scenes. I just don't know. But what I do know is burn taxes are good. It's healthy, and
it's a great way to stay in shape.
This whole thing started on burning. We shouldn't throw that to one side or think to ourselves it's insignificant, we don't need to worry about it, we can just do the bare minimum and that be okay, because it's a part of the community we really can please. And with everything that's unfolding currently with the financial crisis in the banking sector and all of these collapses happening, it's not going to be too long until a bull run kicks off, I believe. And that's just my own opinion. It's not financial advice. It's just us talking, and this is just educational content. What is going to happen is what I've spoken about in my previous video this morning, if you haven't listened to that one. But there's going to be a collapse. There's going to be a bull run because people are just going to be simply looking for, you know, gold, silver, things like this, stores of value, some way to hedge inflation, get away from that situation. Burning can bring a lot of attention to our very small community. It can bring more people in. That's what we need. We need new investors. We need new minds to join the space, because people become committed to their single coins. And a lot of the time you'll see that, you know, influencers, content creators, they'll all get very eccentric and very focused on the one coin. You've seen it here at the channel. It's what we focus on wholly. But the burn tax, I believe, is very important, and trying to get a good balance on this is so important, so we can move forward and keep going over things. What I've always found to be an issue is we can't seem to get things locked in place for long enough for it to actually take effect, show us good results or show us poor results, and get significant data to back up these changes that people want to make. Obviously, I've been out of the circle for quite some time now, like I said, over a month, but I'm seeing here a proposal to exclude smart contracts pretty much from the transaction scope for the burn tax. And this is a good idea, yes. It's also a bad idea because it leaves a backdoor, an area for people. Smart contracts can be, that's a very broad term to use, because a smart contract could literally be you creating a smart contract which simply just withdraws your staked rewards every 4 days. It could be as simple as that, meaning that then you would avoid that burn tax each time. What I'm also concerned about is the amount of sway and leeway Binance has over Lunar Classic. And the reason being is because if you take a deep dive into the SBF situation, it was more or less Binance, CZ himself, who threw FTX under the bus, more or less because they weren't playing ball. And that seems to be what it comes down to in crypto with these kind of bigger people in the game. What if we suddenly decide, well, we don't want to play ball anymore and we get thrown under the bus? These are all things that we need to think about as a growing community pushing forward. It's so important for us to not just think to ourselves, well, you know, it'll be fine. It'll be fine if it happens, it happens, but it'll be fine. You know, we can't always go off that. We've learned that many times before. So my current standing with a tax increase without having any sufficient data is I'm kind of stuck in the middle and abstain and thinking to myself, you know, is this the right time to do this? Is this a good idea? And, you know, what do other validators think in the active set? Because that's so important, because the validators in the active set, it's not so much a situation of keeping them happy. It's more of a situation of just, you know, providing a healthy environment for everybody to grow in, not just one, you know, faction or one node to grow, for everybody to grow in, to grow equally, and for it to be as decentralized as possible, because that's what crypto is supposed to be. Decentralization, the ability for you to not have to think to yourself, well, can I take all of my money out of the bank, right? We've all heard the story, and I'll likely edit in a nice picture for this, but we've all heard the story of the Ukrainian crossing the border with a small hard drive with his crypto on it. It was that simple. He didn't need to go and withdraw anything from the bank because he had his holdings. And I think this is going to become more and more appealing to people over time, not so much the crossing borders part, but just having something that you actually own. That's yours. It belongs to you. No one can take it from you. And it's as simple as that. I think that's going to become more appealing. And as the financial regulation pours in, people will become more comfortable with the idea of crypto and how crypto can be, you know, part of our everyday lives. And one thing that baffles me is how, you know, like train stations, right? The amount of tickets they print every day. Why not just have train pass NFTs? And every time you get a new ticket, scan your NFT, your ticket goes on. I've probably just given someone an idea if someone's not painted it already, but you get the drift. You know, there's so many use cases out there. And that's just very, very, very quick thinking. If you're sitting and think about it, there's so many of these use cases. And when these kind of use cases pour in, right, we've spoken about these microtransactions so many times here, commodity pools, everything like that across the board. That is what is going to burn a substantial amount of LUNC.
Everything burns.
Because just having a good level, a good scale of microtransactions is so important for anything. But it's not even in crypto. It's if you've got that level. I mean, think about like the 1990s, right? At the pinnacle of paper printing, when everybody would get papers delivered, you know, you'd have your weekend delivery boy or your weekday delivery boy, and the amount of money that was pouring in micro amounts with, you know, just paper, just news printed on paper for many years before that. And it adds up, and that's somewhere where you can kind of think to yourself, well, if you reverse engineer that, throw that onto crypto, add that to LUNC, think about how much even a 0.2% amount would burn, or a 0.8% amount would burn. Now, one thing that I kind of want to close this video down with is this idea of having a smart slider, doing what Ethereum's always done, and having a gas fee that changes. You know, if we're seeing really, really high traffic, then we're going to need to be charging more, especially as like node operators, which are validators, because we're the ones who process the transactions. It's our nodes that keep the whole process going, right? So I think this is really important for the community to kind of take in at the moment, that burning has always got us a lot further than we would have gotten without it. And we have a substantial amount of coins.
I'm only burning my half.
Just the biggest issue is that they're spread out far and wide. So many people have purchased them now. But what we don't want to do is be like SHIB, where we get to a point where you've got 4 quadrillion tokens or whatever to burn through, and the prices are just so high for that coin now that getting hold of those small little tokens is so costly. And that's what burning comes down to, is just liquidity, because all you're doing is taking liquidity and burning it. And I'll always say the same thing to people: you may as well just go withdraw. If you're going to burn £1,000 of LUNC, go withdraw £1,000 from your bank account, go in your back garden, throw fuel over it and burn it. You're doing the exact same thing. But like I said, it's all food for thought, isn't it? It's very interesting to see. Like I said, we're still lulling on this situation with the burn tax. Surely we can get a smart system in place where it can go from 0.2% to 0.8% on a scale where that's the high end, that's the low end. And if we ever wanted to tweak the high and low, we could tweak the high and low, right? But it would leave a much larger window for us to have an in-place tax system that we don't need to fiddle with, we don't need to fumble with, and we don't need to keep putting the same proposals up saying increase the burn tax, decrease the burn tax, increase the burn tax, decrease the burn tax. It's like two guys having a tennis match with each other. So let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comment section. It's so important that you let us know what you think about all of this, because you as a community really do decide whether things like this go up or down to a cent. Obviously, it can all be overruled by a validator with too much voting power. I don't even know how the voting power's spread out now. I'll be taking a look shortly. But let me know what you guys think. Other than that, stay safe, beware of scammers, beware of doppelgangers, beware of anybody pretending to be me, and I will catch you in the next one.